Hi everybody, happy Monday. God, my glasses are filthy. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Happy Mother's Day, late Mother's Day to all of you who are moms or aunts or dads too. I hope you had a good day yesterday. I know it was difficult because none of us could see our moms and you couldn't see your kids. But we'll get through this. So, first thing is, we know that in New Jersey, things are looking better as far as the death rates, and our trajectory is going down on the coronavirus cases. But that doesn't mean that we're loosening up, because what we're seeing around the country is all the places that have opened or changed their restrictions, their cases are jumping. It's Montana, North Dakota, Minnesota, Georgia, South Dakota. They're all seeing 20 to 25% increases because they opened up too early. And we don't want that to happen in New Jersey, and we most definitely don't want it to happen in this building. So please, 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 keep staying inside, keep social distancing, wash your hands, wear your masks. I know that this is unbelievably difficult for everyone. Unfortunately, we just don't have a choice. You got the letter the other day. We've lost 13 or 14 people, not all to COVID, but most to COVID, and we still have a few cases in the building, and we do not want to lose anybody else. So please, please keep doing what you're doing. We are doing the best we can to try to keep you entertained. It gets harder. This week we have, well, tonight is Anthony and Cleopatra from the National Theatre in London. I watched it the other day. It's really good. Ray Fine and Sophie Okonedo, very good. I have Life is Beautiful. We have another opera tomorrow. We have The Sound of Music on Broadway, a Harry Connick concert. I've got a couple talks. We have a TED Talk. I brought my sheet this time, unlike last week. There's a great TED Talk about feeling overwhelmed, and it's really appropriate for right now. I have some stand-up for you. I got comedy through the week. And if there's anything that you want me to try to find, please call me and let me know, and I'll try to find it. Somebody, and I don't remember who, and I'm sorry, someone asked me if I could find something, a talk by Warren Buffett, and you know, I tried. There's nothing current, and it seems like his interviews are either, well, the ones that are available are either really short and they're about one thing, or they're like 3-hour roundtables. So I'm going to keep looking and see if I can find something, but I don't want you to think I was ignoring you. Someone asked for Life is Beautiful, the movie. That's on tomorrow night, Tuesday. Cider House Rules is on Wednesday night. There's another movie somebody asked for, and I know I ordered it. Oh, Roma. So that's coming. Again, if there's any other program, please let me know. I hope everybody enjoyed Kim Breeden's program yesterday, and Rabbi Glazer's on gratitude. Rabbi Glazer's going to do a few more for us, which is great. So look for those. Now, what's going on in the world? Well, it's all pandemic news, obviously. And right now, we have, see, I can't read. In New Jersey, we have almost 1 million people who are now unemployed. We've had 138,000 cases of COVID, and almost 10,000 have passed away. But again, our trajectory has gone down. Nationally, we have 30 million people minimum unemployed. We lost 20 million jobs in April. The unemployment rate right now is at 14.7% and climbing. Women's unemployment is higher, it's 16.2%. The White House is now admitting that we're looking at, by August, 20 to 25% unemployment. That is the worst since the Great Depression. But it is not equal unemployment. This is a blue-collar depression. Why am I saying that? Because people in the service industries, blue-collar workers, construction, bus drivers, carpenters, plumbers, the whole gamut, they are not able to work. And the choice if you're a blue-collar worker or a service worker is you either have to go to work, as in the retail, the supermarket industry, us, 5-star, our aides and our dining staff, hospital workers, they have to go to work. If they can't go to work, they are laid off or furloughed. Not true for the white-collar community. They are working home. So this is a white-collar quarantine. I drive in every day, and what you see is all blue-collar workers. So that's kind of my objection to the stimulus package as it was passed, that we just said, oh, everybody's going to get $1,200. If you have kids, you're going to get $500 more. Well, if another stimulus relief package is passed, it absolutely needs to be income-based and job-based. If somebody is working at home and getting their full or almost full salary, or they're collecting unemployment at a high rate, plus they're getting an extra $600 from the one stimulus package, they should not get a stimulus check. Somebody who's lost their job completely should get more money. As usual, it is grossly unfair. So what we're seeing now is, with those stimulus checks, we're seeing an increase in spending, which is the idea of a stimulus check. The spending, however, is not on essential goods. It's on luxury items. Why? Because who can afford to buy them? The people that are working home and or getting unemployment plus the $600 extra, while another spouse is probably working at home making money. So it is a completely uneven distribution of funds. The working class and the middle class, lower middle class, have used the stimulus money to pay bills, not to buy luxury items or unnecessary items. TVs, computers, all these expensive things, sales have increased since those stimulus checks in 3 weeks. So that tells you that these are people who don't need that money. It's very clear. And the people who need the money used it to pay their phone bills, their rent, their mortgage, their car insurance, whatever. So this big spending spree that the White House intended in these stimulus checks didn't happen. So I'm hoping that when the House and Senate come back this week, and it looks like they are going to do another stimulus package, that it becomes income-based, not just universal. Millionaires don't need $1,500 or $1,700. But we'll see what happens. Now, my other issue right now, and this drives me crazy, and I'm not going to tell any of you what to do, but I am very sick of, oh look, I'm touching my face and my mouth, but I shouldn't be. I am very sick of every time there's a problem, 9/11, Sandy, hurricanes, tsunamis, Katrina, whatever event, that we suddenly have all these celebrity fundraisers. So we have these nonprofits that pop up. If you remember Sandy, the Sandy Fund was administered by Chris Christie, then Governor Chris Christie's wife. Now it's called the New Jersey Pandemic Relief Fund. That is being administered by Phil Murphy's wife, which I don't have any problem with that. But I don't know one person who's ever gotten money from these relief funds. Now, if any of you do, please call me and I'll correct myself next week. But so far, the New Jersey Pandemic Relief Funds, well, as of April 28th, has raised I'm trying to read my handwriting, $28 million. But where's it going? I saw a couple allocations they made to some food banks and some hospitals, but where's it going? Where did all the Sandy money go? I don't know. They claim the Sandy money went to redevelopment of some of the shore, but yet I know people who live at the shore who have never recovered from Sandy. People who, in the Sandy case, people who had second houses, vacation homes down the shore, actually got low or no interest loans to fix what Sandy damaged. They then rented their places out and made money on it. People who rent and live down the shore, if the place was destroyed, the owners of the places used them to clean them up and raise the rent. So they couldn't move back into where they were. People with just one small home down the shore couldn't afford to take a loan out because that's where they live. So they either repaired themselves or just sold. So I'm suspecting that this is what's going to happen with this. Who's going to get this money? So I'm not giving a cent to any celebrity fundraiser. I know today Tina Fey and a group of people, group of celebrities are getting together and they're doing some big event all day on TV to raise money, and I'm not giving. I'm never giving to any of those again. I'm going to find a local charity. I bought food the other day for my aunt and uncle's church because they've actually been running a food bank out of their church. And I don't care what religion it is, but I know there's a few in Newark that are doing that, and Trenton. And so that I went and bought a ShopRite gift card and brought that over there. And so if any of you are inclined to give, I think you should, call your temple, call your church, call Ellie Katz in Teaneck. He seems to be doing a lot of that, and see where some money is directly needed, where you know where it's going to go. And it's not going to pay for administration or to give people jobs or to help the wealthy. It's bothering me. And I constantly, every year, since Sandy, look up that Sandy fund, and they still have money in there. But there are people who have not been able to return to their homes since that. So that's my rant of the day, and I'm refusing to watch any of the fundraisers. I'm refusing to give. And I just had this discussion with my mother because she was writing a check, her and dad, and I said, absolutely not. They live down the shore. They live near Toms River. I said, look for a church near you who's running food banks and give. And my mother said, that is a very good idea. I said, yeah, don't give. Because where's it going? I don't need to pay the governor's wife or some crony who suddenly has a job in a nonprofit. I would rather make sure that some family has some food who have been laid off. Now, what's going on at the White House? All right, so we now know the president's valet tested positive. Mike Pence's press secretary, the vice president's press secretary, Katie Miller, tested positive. She's married to Stephen Miller, the anti-immigration guy. But he's not quarantining. Well, if you live together and she has it, you probably have it too. And Mike Pence was saying he's still going to go into work at the White House. Well, how irresponsible is that? The president had a meeting with military leaders and not one of them had masks on. So is this pretend news? If we just pretend coronavirus is gone, if we just pretend COVID is gone, it's going to be magically gone? It's not. And I watch them and I just think this is so irresponsible, like everything they do. But here's the thing. All right, so Katie Miller tests positive last week. I think it was Thursday. But she had been at Camp David with the president, the vice president, and a bunch of senior officials. And none of them are quarantining. And I've seen now Deborah Birx, Fauci, of course, is quarantining, but she's been around all of them with no mask on. So is she infected? Who's carrying? Now, the thing is, I mean, there's a wild fantasy online that both Pence and Trump would get the virus, not make it, and we would have President Pelosi. That would be great. Though I don't want anyone to die of the virus, but that would be sort of ironically perfect. So, but none of them are quarantining. And so what is that, what message is that sending out to people around the country? It's not a good one, and I don't understand. Oh, and Ivanka Trump's aide also tested positive, though they claim she's been quarantining. But I read that and I thought, well, if you were quarantining, when did you get it, and who were you around? Because Kushner and Ivanka are all over the West Wing. They have full access, apparently. So that's not good. But maybe it'll thin the herd in the West Wing. The White House has now projected 137,000 deaths by August. Remember when the current occupant of the White House told us it was going to be gone by April? Remember when he said it wasn't that serious? Remember when he said maybe 20,000 people at the most? Well, now they've upped to 137,000. As New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, California, the numbers have gone down, the other states, the Republican states, numbers have gone up dramatically. And that's what's going to keep happening because they're opening without testing, without contact tracing. Oh, that's another thing. The White House claims that they started a contact tracing program from Katie Miller, but they said they couldn't do it. Why? She's the vice president's press secretary. So if you can't contact trace her, why would I have any confidence that you could come up with a national plan to contact trace if you can't even do it in the White House with one person? So stay tuned for that. California has already declared, the governor, Gavin Newsom, that all voting is going to be done by mail in November. There's a pushback of the White House, there's a pushback from the Republican Party across the country for this. He doesn't care, he's doing it. This is what all the states need to do, particularly the states hit by COVID. Now, why would the Republicans oppose voting by mail? And I know you've all heard already the nonsense about the massive voter fraud and all that. The vote by mail voter fraud charge came out of a Miami mayor's race. By the way, it was a Republican who did commit voter fraud and was later put out for it. So the only person ever convicted of voter fraud in a vote-by-mail election was a Republican. Oregon's been doing it, Washington's doing it, a lot of states have been doing this for quite some time. You don't get massive voter fraud. They've never been able to prove any voter fraud. They just keep saying it. The occupant of the White House continues to say that 3 million people voted illegally in the last presidential election. Who? It's ridiculous. Why do they oppose it? Because the more people that vote, the less likely it is in any given election for a Republican to win. And the easier it is to vote, the easier for Democrats to vote. Republicans always vote, no matter what. It could be a blizzard, it could be a tsunami, they will vote. Democrats don't. And if there's so much potential for fraud in a vote-by-mail program, well, why don't they oppose absentee voting? In general, why don't they oppose vote-by-mail for military and people who live overseas? Why? Because the majority are Republicans who do that. So it's complete nonsense. There is no voter fraud issue. It is just as safe as going in and voting. They just don't want it, because the less people that vote, the more likely they win. So regardless of what you hear from them, understand that those are the numbers. Now, we have seen since the COVID crisis that our country is not prepared for this kind of pandemic. We were not prepared. We should have been. It's been predicted for quite some time, but we weren't. And I started making a list. I read an article on Politico and another article, I think, in the New York Times or the Atlantic, about all the other things that we are not prepared for. And I'm actually scared myself. Within the next 5 years, what are we not prepared for? We are not prepared for a massive data attack on our institutions, our elections. We know that from the Russian interference 4 years ago. We're not ready for that. And even that was actually media manipulation and news manipulation. It was not an actual data attack from what we know now. But we are not prepared, nor are we secure against a data attack. So many elections, so many states are electronic. The transmission of those votes are electronic to either the county clerk or the state Secretary of State's office, whatever. We are not secure against an attack on that. All right. And this administration has not made that a priority. I guess because they benefited from it. However, it doesn't have to be the Russians. It could be hackers. It could be white supremacist groups. I'm going to come back to them. It could be terrorists. But we're not ready. And that makes me very nervous, because if you want to create real chaos in America, have people questioning whether our institutions are safe and if elections are real, and then we will have anarchy. What else? We are not prepared for technological disruption. This goes along with data attacks. If our financial systems and our government systems were hacked by a terrorist group again, or by a country, an enemy, we're not ready. We're not prepared. We don't have a backup system. Why? Because it's not been a priority. And because it's not, every company has their own. So the banks don't have the same system. So if it's Chase versus Wells Fargo, They don't have the similar system. They have their own that's proprietary. And so there's no way for us to have a universal protection. It has to come from within each company, and that includes supply chains and transportation. The airlines have different technology and security than the trains do. That's not true everywhere around the world, but for us it is. Delta has a different system than United. So if you hack one, that won't not affect the other one. It's just that the other one won't know it's being hacked, and we could actually have plane crashes and things like that go on. That's a small example, but we're not ready. We know we're not ready for climate change because we have supposed leaders who don't believe climate change is real, or at least say they don't believe climate change is real. With climate change, we get things like pandemics. We also get things like tsunamis, hurricanes, tornadoes, and earthquakes. We're not ready for that. And as long as we keep denying science and denying that climate change is happening, we're not going to ever be ready for it. And when it happens, they'll still deny science. They'll claim it's something else. We are not prepared for biological warfare in our country. They're running around saying that the Chinese let this COVID virus out of a lab, though there hasn't really actual evidence of that, but even assuming that, let's take their word for it and say, okay, it was released by the Chinese, accidentally or not. We weren't ready for it. Now, biological warfare has been a concern for years and years. You all remember the old sci-fi series and movies from the 60s and 70s. This is nothing new. We saw it, the sarin attacks in Japan. This has happened before. On a small scale, we're not ready. So, the next administration has to up our emergency preparedness systems across the board. And let's hope that that is a priority for the Biden administration. And I'm still not worried about him winning, by the way. I think that this crisis and 25% unemployment by August, September, October, I think will put the current occupant out of the White House. At least that's what I hope. And I have absolutely no doubt that Vice President Biden will have a professional staff, and we'll be back to normal governing with professionals running departments, and it will not be government by whim and insanity and narcissism. That will not be happening. And that's what I have today. Please stay safe. Keep your masks on. Wash your hands. Stay away. Oh, almost forgot. Wednesday, starting at 1 o'clock. Don't come downstairs. Look out your windows. I'm always pointing over there because I'm in the art room. That's outside. Look out your windows. We're doing a staff parade so that we all see you and you see us. So please come to the windows, wave, and hopefully that will brighten all our spirits because we all miss you. So I will hopefully see you soon. Definitely see you Wednesday outside because I'll be out there with some kind of noisemaker. And have a good day. Bye.